Hello my friends, welcome to the 2022 Mercedes-Benz C300. This is their sort of entry level. There are smaller sedans that you can, there's the A-class sedan here in Canada. Not sure what the availability is elsewhere in the world, but if you're talking about proper Mercedes, the C-class has kind of always been where you begin. And this is the new one. This is new for 2022, and we are going to give it a go today. We should start, well, I'm going to give you guys full disclosure here. It is piss and rain today, a miserable day to be doing this. Nevertheless, I shall persevere because damn it, I love what I do. We're going to do a very quick tour on the outside. I'll leave the vehicle running, so it's roasty toasty when we get back in, and let's see how this goes, shall we? All right, we'll start at the front of this thing. With the 2022, you get pretty much a comprehensive redesign of the exterior of this vehicle. They gave it a brand new nose and kind of brought it in line with all the other new Mercedes that they've been releasing in recent years. You get the big badge in the front, you get the cool tail headlights there. And one thing I wanted to point out that I really approve of is the positioning of that license plate. I think you go to all that effort to create what is a very, very beautiful grille, and then you completely ruin it, especially where I live, because you have to have, legally speaking, a front license plate, and you have to jam it in, you know, in the grille somewhere or whatever the case may be, and it just completely ruins the face of it. So that is something I really, really like. I think that's a very, very good idea. This particular model has the Sport Plus package, or whatever the hell it's called. Basically, you get some AMG bits and pieces, a little bit of skirting, and the big thing is the AMG wheels. These are they're curious looking. They look tiny, to be honest. This thing's on snowies, so it's on snow tires. Yeah, it looks like it's on snow tires. So the wheels are rather small. I believe they're 18 inches, but they look about 16s from the early 90s. But there it is. They're not ugly or anything. I think they could have done more, given it a little more pizzazz. Entry-level car, I suppose. You can't put it all into the C-Class. I like the contrast coloring with the, again, we get a demonstrator in white. Why is it always white? White is not my favorite color for many, many reasons. But again, we get more, yet another car in white. We get black wing mirrors. We get a panoramic roof. It's broken into two sections. The entire roof up here is glass. Right around here, give or take, you actually get a beam inside the vehicle, which kind of splits it into a rear and a front sunroof. But on the outside, it's all glass. And we come to the rear, which is really quite nice looking. The hood has remained long. They've kind of moved the weight of the vehicle toward the rear tires. I like it, actually. It looks pretty good. You know, it kind of, yeah, it suits the car. I really like it. Cribs a little bit of the design from the S-Class, I guess, possibly, but nevertheless. So this one is a 4Matic, so all-wheel drive, which is really nice. I'll talk about the all-wheel drive system during the driving component. You get, is this going to work for me this time around? Of course not. You do get a powered trunk in this thing, which has kick open, but just will not work. I don't know what the deal is. Drives me crazy. So you get a trunk in the back, decent space actually. It's not bad at all. I don't know what those packages are. They were there when they gave me the car. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally usable space. It's powered, so you can close and lock it if you want. And one thing we have to talk about, commented on quite regularly with this vehicle, but are the tailpipes. These flashy looking bits are facade. They don't actually exhaust the engine. The tailpipes are, shall we go below? Let's see if we can see them. Yeah, there they are. See them poking their nose out there? Just a standard exhaust pipe. Why you couldn't attach that to that and just leave it, I don't know. I don't understand this. It's like piping engine noise into the cabin. I don't get it, but it's not for me. All right, we are back inside the car where it is nice and dry and will be warm in a moment. Let's start the interior portion with the door. The door has your power seat controls, heated seats. It's a funny thing about the heated seats. You hit the button and you get the, if you can see that, the heated steering wheel. I have not found an independent button for the heated steering, which I find funny. I don't know why you would tie those two together. I mean, you do use them fairly consistently together, but why you can't have an extra button is beyond me, but there you go. I don't design the things. We'll turn that off for the time being. You have seat memory, etc. Door locks, really nice. I like the switches, the switch gear. That's why I kind of wanted to talk about the door. I like the power window switches. They're really nice. They're meant to look like metal. I think they're plastic. I don't think they're actually metal, just like the trim here. But it's a really nice looking plastic. It really is good. And yeah, it's a nice surface too. I saw similar stuff in a recent Range Rover that I drove, which is really nice. You get a speaker grill actually made out of metal. This is a the Germans, Burmeister, Burger something or other. Anyway, it's a really nice stereo. I've been hammering out my 80s tunes all day on this thing, and it's great. I really like it. It has all the kick you could need. It is an optional upgrade. Is it? No, I didn't see that actually when I was speccing this thing out. But anyway, I'll confirm that and then add a little note in the video. Moving on to the vents, we got these type of vents. I really love the vents. I don't know what it is with vent design. It gets me all excited. What can I say? My world is small. But these, so you turn them, that closes them, and then you spin them, orient them any way you want. What you do get, if you can see, is ambient lighting inside the vent, and that is for all of them. So they kind of open. That's open. They're all across the dash here, and they all feature ambient lighting, which is really cool. You get more ambient lighting, well, all over the place, quite frankly, as is the way, especially in Mercedes-Benz. They do love their ambient lighting. All right, we got to touch on the dash. I love the dash cluster in this vehicle. It's really, it's all digital, of course, and you can configure this thing in any way you want. That is achieved by this little set of controls here. Oh, see, I'm already changing stuff. So you hit the home button and it pops up a whole bunch of options that you can do, and you swipe, because that's the whole car is based on swiping, but you swipe whichever direction you want, and you can go from understated, which I find amusing. You can do sport, which is kind of all throbby, horny red lights. Classic, which is my preferred because of the options you have in the center. You can, what I really do dig is the navigation. The whole screen basically becomes your satellite navigation. That is if you have the native navigation attached or included with this vehicle. This one happens to have it, of course, so it works. And to have it here like this, I would pay extra for it. I like that idea. I just love having this. I've seen it in other cars too, and it's really great. I dig it. It's absolutely fantastic. And then you've got assistance. I can't really remember what assistance is. I didn't dig too deeply into that. I got all distracted by the by the satellite navigation, and then you can get into some information about the vehicle, etc., through the service tab. So there we go. So this takes you to the classic dash, and when you're in here, you can swipe up or down, whatever you prefer. It gives you all sorts of information. I'm in eco mode right now, so it's talking all sorts of things about what we're using in terms of gas, electricity, etc. And then never ever drive a Mercedes without Barry ready to go. That's just the way. That's the way of it. And then you can have the navigation, and this is really cool, in between your speedo and your tachometer. I love that. That's absolutely fantastic. That is, it's just the best of both worlds. If you don't need the full navigation on there, it's really great when you're navigating with this system and your directions and stuff all turn up there. It's really cool. I could babble on about the dash all day, but we must press on. So moving on to the steering wheel, we have four kind of horizontal pillars here. This one here controls the dash cluster. The one below it is your cruise control. The one to the right allows you control over your center console there, the main screen. So you hit the button, the home button, it'll take you here, it'll take you there. It's easier obviously to navigate just using the screen itself, but they do include that sort of functionality there for you if you need it. If you're driving, you don't want to take your hands off the steering wheel. We've got telephony controls, voice control, and then this is your volume. One thing I can't find, and it's not here on the steering wheel, and I don't believe it's here in these buttons, which are the only buttons on the console, is track selection. You can hit the little button right there. I don't want to touch it because it'll turn the music on and then YouTube will freak out, and that won't be good for anybody. But like to select, and that's fine. Those buttons are very finicky. You actually have to touch them quite hard in order to get them to work. Strangely, Apple CarPlay is better. So odd. But I would just, they include a physical button. They include two options for volume. You can mute it, you can turn the screen off, all that stuff down here. But there isn't just a simple button somewhere to change the track. I don't get it. Or it's here and I haven't found it. I spent 30 minutes trying to figure out how to change the tracks because, you know, from one Barry Manilow song to another, I absolutely love it. I just couldn't figure it out. I don't know where it is. So if you know, do post up down below and, you know, call me an idiot. But and if it is here, why does it have to be so hard to find? I know I'm a confused old man, but this is excessive. Moving on, we do have the center console here, center display. This is just under 12 inches. The dash cluster is just over 12 inches. It's really nice, super high resolution. It gives you all the functionality you could possibly want. This is the native navigation system, which is really good. I like having it, again, only because you can kick it over to the dash, and then you can hit the button, takes you to CarPlay. These are the environmental controls. These are fixed. They're always there, regardless of what's going on in the rest of the screen. I know, it's a common gripe. Why are they not knobs and buttons? Just right here, make the screen smaller. I'm cool with that. I don't need this massive screen. It has to be buttons and knobs. I don't understand. If you're driving, you want to make a small adjustment, this is much more difficult to work with. You're gonna hit a whole bunch of buttons you didn't intend to, or pads, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. I don't like that. I really would prefer the environmental controls be separate. And yeah, I mean, just right here, easy, right there. But nope, anyway, is what it is. So I say that a lot, don't I? So that's kind of the, oh, and then we've got this strip here on the bottom. I don't want to forget that. So I'll start on the right. You get volume control, excuse me, mute, power, which kind of is a funny functionality. You can turn the display off, and then you have black screen. But of course, these controls still remain, which is kind of funny. I get a kick out of that. So turn the screen back on, and you got this button here, which is for related to the My Mercedes app, or whatever the case may be. So you can customize the car. Yeah, put your finger on there, and it goes, ooh, that's Tracy, we know him. And your seat settings, your environmental, all that stuff is set to that. We don't do that in press cars. And then we've got, this one takes you to a whole bunch of functionality for the car. You can tinker with the heads-up display and basically every other setting you can imagine. And then we've got the 360 cameras. Sorry, pardon me, the camera system, which is 360, of course. And then it's really high resolution. It's a nice system. It's really good. I was just in the Nissan Frontier, which, you know, is certainly not in the same class as this vehicle, but the camera system is just appalling. Oh, so bad. So this is really nice to see. Super high resolution. Right here at the end are the dynamic. So you hit those buttons and it takes you into the drive modes. So it's got 5. We'll start on the left. You got eco mode, which is what I've been driving around in for the last hour or so, and comfort. Very little difference. It kind of, I guess it, you know, I don't know, backs off the throttle a bit, you know, more for to make you comfortable, I guess. Sport mode and Sport Plus, these are sort of your, you know, your fun modes or whatever the case may be. I was driving around in Sport Plus earlier. It makes a little more noise, holds your revs. I'm sure it did something to the suspension, but it wasn't that obvious. And then individual, which I think is something that's custom. You set it up yourself, which I haven't gone to the effort to do because I only have this thing for 3 hours. So yeah, that kind of takes us through. That's where you figure out, I'll put it back in comfort because I'm an old man. We've got a really nice sort of, I mean, it's faux, it's plastic, but it's a wood grain along here. I really dig this. It's got a texture to it. The color is really nice. It's on both sides. There's the start stop button, and then the auto. I like this actually. I forgot to mention this. The auto start stop, because I can't stand with that driving with that on, is although in this car being so smooth, it's quite it's not as obtrusive as it is in my pickup. So that control is there. That's a good place to put it. And then we roll down into this. I'll move my water bottle, pardon me. This is an option. This color, this is diamond metallic or whatever they call it. And when you're speccing out your car, you can choose whatever color you prefer for this. I would go with, I mean, if they gave me the option, more of this, or just a, you know, a more traditional black. This is ugly. I don't care for this at all. It's really, and it's tacky. I don't like the high shiny stuff. It doesn't stay clean. It scratches easy. It just looks, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't look very good. I don't like it. Moving on, when you open the cover there, you get 2 cup holders. You can hit these little buttons, and they'll, if you have a small cup, like a can of Red Bull or something, it'll hold it in place and keep it from flopping around. You have a USB-C port down there. And then you've got wireless charging in here. Now this is your wireless charger right there. You can get your phone in. It's just, here, let me demonstrate. This was made clear to me because I had my water here and I had a little small cup of coffee in here. Now, if you're trying to get your phone, and this is not an enormous bottle of water either, nothing silly or anything, legitimately, it's very hard. You have to kind of sneak it in. And then to get it out, You have to snake it past again. That is, well, to be honest, it's irritating. And there has to be a better design. There really does. Also, when you have a cup of coffee here, you are going to spill that, and it's going to spill all over your USB port. I can see it coming a mile away. And then you're just going to have frustration after frustration. But moving on, we got a center console, split center console, which is cool. It's got 2 more USB ports down here, USB-Cs, and then we've got a little bit of storage space, and that's about it, to be honest. There isn't really much in there, but it is good. I like the split arrangement. That's very common in a lot of cars these days, and it looks good. And yeah, it's the only reason to have it, really. Okay, let's check out the back seat. Okay, so I'm gonna sit myself as I lumber in right behind my seating position. So this is, in this car, this is where I would normally sit. I'm 5'8", and we've got more than enough leg room. If you are sitting behind a taller driver, you're gonna have a space problem. I can see it coming a mile away. That is, they made this, I think, an inch longer this year, this generation, and it all went to the back seat. Can't imagine what it was like before that. I didn't drive that particular vehicle, but yeah, rear leg room with a taller driver up front could be a bit of an issue. I'm not gonna deny that. If you're all sort of short of leg, I think you're gonna be okay. So there you go. We've got vents in the back, more vents like the ones up front. I'm trying to see, they don't have ambient lighting. Come on, Mercedes. You get a little, I don't know, something to put wrappers in or whatever the case may be. And what you don't get anywhere is power. That's a bummer. I think I couldn't find it when I was building this thing online, just to get an idea of what it cost. But I believe you can spec that. That's like a little package you can add for however many hundreds of dollars they demand for it. And that's a real kick in the butt. I mean, you're spending good money on this car, upwards of $70,000 Canadian. And it should have, I mean, just give me 2, right? 2. I have 2 children. You know, irritating it gets when I can't let them, when I have to pay attention to them. My God, oh, it's horrible. However, there is a little bit of a saving grace in this particular vehicle. If you see here, we've got 2 ports, exactly how many you need. And if you run your wires out, you can, for the most part, if you pop them out right there, you can close that, and you still run power to the back seats. You shouldn't need to do that. It should be provided in the back, but there you go. We do get, oh, excuse me as I bump my head on the, we'll get to the headroom thing in a second. We get a glass panel here, which is small but nice. I mean, there isn't a ton of room back here anyway, but it is actually quite nice. And I like, it doesn't open or anything, but it does open, it does give you light back here, which is really nice, because otherwise it could get a little gloomy. So we've got center console, excuse me as I maneuver myself around here. Center console, the cup holder is, there you go, right there. How many times would I argue with that if I owned this car? This thing, you noticed, so if you close it, you hit it once and this pops open. There is debate as to what exactly this is. I've heard pen holder, phone holder, many other things. You could use it for whatever you prefer, of course. It's got like a grippy texture to it, so I would assume maybe a phone. That being said, I don't think you could sit back here and watch something if it was oriented there, but anyway, and you hit it a second time and it opens up and there's your cup holders. All right, my friends, here we go. It is drive time. We'll fire her up, which doesn't really have the most thrilling starting experience. It's extremely quiet, and you know, the engine does fire up, but it's very smooth, and you don't yeah, you don't feel that in this thing, I'll tell you. You know what occurs to me? We forgot to do the hood. Oh man, I forgot to open the hood. It was the rain. I apologize. So we'll talk about that now. Let me get driving here. So put it in D. So this vehicle, the C300, only comes in one vehicle, one engine option. Pardon me, I've lost the ability to speak English. It a 2-liter turbo with a 48-volt mild hybrid assist. So basically torque fill while the turbo spools up. You get about 255 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, and that's not bad. It doesn't, those are not massive numbers, but I've got to be honest, it works in this car. You combine that with all-wheel drive, it's very stable. You can kick the crap out of it and just pound on it through a corner. Even, and I mean, it's not even the sportiest vehicle in the world, but it is a lot of fun to drive. I really enjoyed that, and it's not enough power that you're going to get yourself in trouble and do something stupid. You may still do something stupid, but it won't be because of an overabundance of power. So, and I dig that. I like that a lot. This is a very, very manageable vehicle to drive, all things considered, and I think that works out really, really well. It's always great to throw, you know, 1,000 horsepower into everything, but you have to think about who's going to buy the car and what they're going to use it for, and this is very much an everyday driving kind of vehicle, so you don't need massive amounts of horsepower. That little 2-liter turbo does quite well. The seats are incredibly comfortable in this thing. Some of the most comfortable seats I've sat in a long time. I just drove an Escalade recently. These seats are better. The bolstering is better. The foam is firm, and yet it kind of cups your body as a lover should. I mean, it's fantastic. I really like the seats in this car. And when you choose to get a little aggressive with the throttle and pound it through a corner, you stay in a good, you know, neutral driving position. It's good. You're not flopping around all over the place or any of that nonsense. It's really nice. I really enjoy this, and this isn't even a sports oriented car. It's just German, and the Germans do handling. That's one of their things. One of the benefits of test driving this car on an absolutely miserable day is that I've had the opportunity to test the all-wheel drive system. It is fantastic. You are glued to the road. You know, I took it through some mildly aggressive twisty bits, and it was great. It's absolutely fantastic. You combine that with a reasonable power curve from this engine, from the power plant, and it's great. I mean, it just makes for a really, really satisfying driving experience. And even my conservative driving nature sort of stepped aside, and I was able to have some fun with it, and it was really, really enjoyable. You know, it doesn't make a lot of noise. That's one thing about this thing. Even when you put it in sport mode, Sport Plus, and they open up the, you know, whatever it is they do in the exhaust system, etc., it doesn't. It's a 2-liter turbo. It's not going to make a lot of noise. And that is reality. And that's a little disappointing sometimes, you know, when you're not hammering, because I don't do that, but, you know, pushing it aggressively through a corner, you'd like it to rumble at you and talk to you and let you know, yeah, I like that. Oh, give me more. The new Nissan Z or Z car, Z, I'm Canadian, sorry. You know, it lets you know what's going on. And that's, you know, a very satisfying experience. Another real surprise with this vehicle was the turning radius. This will turn almost in its own length. It's absolutely fantastic. It's very, very nimble, and that surprised me. I really didn't expect it to be that good. And yeah, turning around in this thing, if you're in a tight parking lot, makes it very, very useful. So the C300 starts right around $56,000 Canadian and goes all the way up to, well, spend as much as you like, I guess, depending on how much stuff you want to put on it. This particular model it tops out right around $70,000. That's a bit much. You know, you do get a lot of car, so, but you could easily do something in the low to mid 60s and be perfectly happy with it. You could skip some of the, you know, the more tinsley oriented stuff that they tend to add to press vehicles and be very, very happy in a really, really nice $65,000 car. And this has to be an option if you're looking for a sedan, something that's German, something that drives as only a German car drives. That is an X factor when it comes to the German automakers. They make cars that are special to drive. They're unique to drive. You may not like the way they drive, that's fair, no problem, but nothing drives quite like a German car does. And this kind of exemplifies that. It doesn't make a big deal about anything, really, but it is very, very capable, and I love that. Usually they're sort of, you know, traditionally anyway, it's been rear-wheel drive, so you couple all-wheel drive to that, and you get an enhanced driving experience. I've really enjoyed driving this thing. Makes me want to drive a lot more of them. You know, I'd love to get into, because it's competing with the 3 Series. You could probably, yeah, you could easily get into maybe a nice lower trim 5 Series if you wanted to, or the Audi A4, etc. They're all really, really nice cars. This one, I would have defaulted BMW if you made me pick 4 hours ago. This is a proper contender. It's absolutely fantastic. So the suspension on this vehicle is not particularly stiff. It's not aggressive, it's not super hard, any of that kind of stuff, but it is solid. It doesn't pitch and wallow, it doesn't do any of that, nothing excessively anyway. It is a it's a solid ride. Some might call it firm, whatever the case may be. I find it very, very enjoyable. I hit little divots in the road, variations, potholes here and there. Other than the bigger one that I hit back there, you barely feel them. It's really, it's good. It's really nice, actually. I'm surprised by that. I expected it to be a harder ride, and again, if you get into, you know, probably there's going to be AMG versions of this thing, and those will be rock hard and brutalize you. But this, as a, you know, the everyday option, is absolutely fantastic. They got the suspension just right. I really enjoyed riding on less than fantastic roads in it today. Well, my friends, I guess that's going to do it for this one. I've really enjoyed today. Today has actually been a wonderful, pleasant surprise. I didn't quite know what to expect when I got behind the wheel of this vehicle, and it has absolutely won my heart, which is great for sort of an everyday car that people might actually buy. Nothing exotic or exclusive about this thing, and I think that maybe that's partly why I like it too. And it is just a well-made, well-sorted car. So until we see each other again, have a very good day, and do take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.